Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to become president with the evil truths that I learned about elections and politics by running a campaign for governor in California. Step number 1, I want you to take all of your specific plans, everything that you believe government should do, and write it down. Every specific plan you have and every detail that you have as a function of the solutions that you desire in your government, and write them down. Have a nice list. Wherever you write that down, close it up. Put it into a drawer and close it. Forget about it. You are not going to win a campaign on policy plans. Every plan can be debated. You need something that can't be debated. Because see, every plan you come up with has individuals who come out and say things like, well, in order for that plan to work, you're going to have to pay for it somehow. You're going to have to get through that politician or that judge or that law. You're going to have to get that permit and work with that union and work against that union, or be careful of that tribe. Plans are very dangerous. Plans are a great way to alienate people who might be supportive of your ideas or your goals. But plans in politics are very dangerous. Even though we feel like, wait a minute, we should elect people based off policy, and we should elect politicians to represent us based off who has the best plan. That's not what works in politics. See, there's too much you can disagree with in a plan. So what you need is something that everyone can agree on. Let me give you an example in our real lives. Let's say you take a math test, and you score an 89% on that math test with your plan of acing that test. You came short, 89%. You didn't ace it. Your friend scored a 90%. They didn't get 100%, but they scored better than you. In this case, it's black or white. Your friend's plan is better than yours. You lost. You mathematically failed. It is black or white. It is 90% versus 89%. But what if you both hate math? Well, wait a minute. Who hates math more? Did you wake up in the middle of the night because you hate math and had a nightmare about math? Which one of you despises math so much that you get stressed out and anxious over math? And which one of you gets stressed out more if both of you get stressed out? But wait a minute. Does it matter? You both hate math. You both agree. You both hate math. See, debating plans does not work in politics, much like the math test and your comparison to your friend. You each might have your own individual plans, but until that test is taken, until you are actually in office, that plan does not work. You can agree, though, that you both hate math. And see, that's what works in politics. That's how you win power. That's how you become a governor, and that's how you become a president. You work with emotion that everyone can agree on. You use broad, not specific, but very broad ideas to guide that emotion. So, here are the steps to become a president or a powerful politician. Step number 1, create fear. You have to create fear about something. For example, when Obama ran for president, Obama ran on the fear of the status quo, recession, potential depression, and war. When Donald Trump ran for president, he ran on the fear of the status quo, America's crumbling exceptionalism, America being the world police, spending more money on other countries than we feel, at least, on ourselves. That is a fear. This is where MAGA, or Make America Great Again, came from. When Joe Biden ran for president, he ran on the fear of a Donald Trump presidency. When Gavin Newsom ran for governor in California, he didn't run on policies like housing, homelessness, schools, water, fire, or crime. He ran on the fear that somebody was going to come into California, a state where over 75%, that's 3 out of 4 Californians, believe in vaccines and masking and believe in ending COVID through whatever means necessary, Gavin Newsom ran on a platform that said, if you don't elect Gavin Newsom, somebody else is going to come in and turn us into a Texas or Florida and undo all of these restrictions. Now, you might be in Texas or Florida and you might go, hey, I support those ideals. That's fine. But in California, when 3 out of 4 people are fearful of removing COVID restrictions, somebody who represents that fear becomes the face of evil. And this is where Gavin Newsom in the California governor race, which I was a part of, did not have to run on policy. All he had to do was run on fear. And so step 1 is finding a fear that everyone, or not necessarily everyone, but the majority of people can relate to. See, for example, if you are AOC and you represent the Bronx, which has a 26.1% poverty rate, are you going to run on a platform to lower taxes for the rich? No, of course not. All you need is a broad idea, not a plan. Not a plan, because remember, plans can be broken apart. All you need is broad-based ideas, like tax the rich, cancel rent, cancel student debt, monthly stimulus checks. That's popular, and that creates fear of the status quo and hope for a better future. See, fear and hope are just opposite faces of the same coin. Remember, Obama ran on hope. Biden ran on fear. It's all about fear or hope. And after you, step 1, identify what that fear is, you have to create the representation of that fear. So number 2, you need a scapegoat. Number 1, you find fear. Number 2, you need a reason that fear exists. See, for Obama, that fear existed because of George W. Bush, the fear of what happened, continued war, recession. That was the fear. And so Bush became the representation of that. Republicans became the representation of the status quo in the Obama election. When Donald Trump was elected, Obama was the scapegoat, and therefore Hillary Clinton became the representation of a continued Obama era, of a lack of potential exceptionalism. Although, again, I'm not trying to get political here about parties. We're just saying who ultimately ended up winning, right? Donald Trump ran on the fear of Hillary Clinton, that scapegoat, that existing or continuity of those policies which maybe did not put America first. At least that was the branding. See, a lot of this is in the branding. So whether it's right or not does not matter. What matters is the branding. So number 1, you create fear. Number 2, you find the scapegoat. The scapegoat, that other target. In Gavin Newsom's election in California, that was Larry Elder. Biden's election, that was Trump, right? Simple. In Trump's election, that was Hillary Clinton. It was the scapegoat that represents the fear. So that's step 1. Step 2. Step number 3, you need conformity so that those who support your emotion, your hate for math tests, let's say, can all visually see the representation of that conformity. So in Obama's case, that came down to posters or flags of hope and change. In Donald Trump's election, that came down to branding around MAGA or the American flag, make America great again, and bring that patriotism back. Those were the symbols of conformity. For Gavin Newsom in California, the symbols of conformity were actually masks and vaccine cards and supporting COVID restrictions. Those were the symbols of conformity. Gavin Newsom Trojan horsed COVID, the pandemic, as a political weapon, thereby unifying his base. And this was exacerbated by the fact that people who would show up to Gavin Newsom rallies who were counter-protesters did not protest Gavin Newsom's failures on housing, homelessness, schools, water, fire, crime. They protested vaccines and masks, which literally reiterated that emotion and the fear. And so they became, the Gavin Newsom supporters became fearful of the anti-vax crowd. And Larry Elder in California became the face of the anti-COVID restriction crowd. And so now you got to get to the next step. So number 1, fear. Number 2, the representation of that fear. Number 3, conformity. But now, number 4, you have to be a man or woman of the people. See, you have to represent that you are the people. You represent their opportunity for change. You are pissed off that somebody else is either trying to keep you in despair or put you in despair. AOC is pissed that we don't tax the rich more. AOC represents your opportunity or chance at being freed of your fear. She has become a woman of the people in her district. And so you stand for and in stark contrast to that emotion you are fighting, that fear you are fighting. Then, once you have accomplished these 4 things, you have created fear, you have a scapegoat, you have conformity, you are the man or woman of your movement, you don't run on happiness, you run on anger. And when you run on anger, you can do number 5, and that's buy loyalty. You can buy loyalty in the form of endorsements and donations from the companies that support or align with your fear. For example, Gavin Newsom in the California election received over $28 million in donations or behested donations from Facebook. Over $3 million from Netflix. Netflix was, by the way, given special exemptions from COVID restrictions so that they could operate their business and continue filming, and yet then donated millions of dollars to Gavin Newsom. Google donated multi-millions of dollars to Gavin Newsom as well, and then all of a sudden got no bid statewide contracts with no competition for those contracts. Once you have fear, a scapegoat, conformity, and then you are the branded man or woman of the people, you can then use that anger against the other side to buy loyalty, to buy endorsements, to get donations, and amplify your message. You amplify your message with short buzzword phrases. Things like taking a playbook right out of what Gavin Newsom used. Vaccines work. California comeback. Women's rights. Women are smarter in politics and women rule. Minimum wage. Or here's some other old ones. Hope. MAGA. Change. These all represent outrage of the other side. Consider that. Outrage of the other side. If 75% of people in California believe that vaccines work, then you are outraged at somebody who says they don't work. If 75% of people in California support women's rights, then you are outraged at the thought of somebody taking those rights away. If 75% of people support the minimum wage, then you are outraged at people who want to take that away. You are outraged when you have hope for change and somebody wants to keep things the same. You are outraged when you want to make America great again and somebody else wants to keep America the way it is. And so, folks, winning an election is a matter of creating emotion, creating the emotion of victory, the emotion of being part of something greater than yourself, being and becoming part of a movement. That's what wakes people up. That's what gets people to vote, because voting is a matter of life and death to your movement. Gavin Newsom used COVID as his Trojan horse to manifest the face of evil. Larry Elder represented that face. This is why 63.5% of Californians voted no to removing Gavin Newsom. A very similar percentage of those folks voted against Donald Trump in 2020. This is why when Joe Biden flew on Air Force One to California to campaign for Gavin Newsom, Joe Biden said that the person running against Gavin Newsom, he didn't even use his name. Joe Biden did not use his name. He said the person leading to replace Gavin Newsom is a Trump clone. Well, folks, the majority of people in California do not support Donald Trump. So what an easy scapegoat to use. You know what the statistics are because all you have to do is look at the 2020 election or the 2016 election. Look at how California votes. You know what the people want. And so you stand for that and create the fear of that other person, the other side winning. Now, why then did my campaign fail? Well, folks, my campaign failed because I did what I just told you not to do. I ran a campaign with a plan. In fact, you can still, at least at this point, and it'll change soon, but you can still go to meetkevin.com and you can see what a plan looks like. In fact, you can see, here's why my opponent has failed with statistics and research and citations. And then you can see a 20-point plan for how to solve issues in California from homelessness, housing, crime, traffic, fires, water, and more, with bold solutions. Out of all of the candidates, I was the only candidate who had a 20-point plan broken down on their website. In fact, I was the only candidate who had any plan, any actual plan broken down. My opponents all had the same thing, an overview of their stances. But what they did was correct. What I did was wrong. See, even though those who actually read my plan, of those who did, 95% of people supported my plan, all of it was unnecessary. Because see, Larry Elder had no specific advertised plan, but he didn't need them. He created the fear of Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom was the scapegoat, the representation of evil for Larry Elder's campaign. People were tired of overbearing and oppressive and failing government in California. So a vote for Larry Elder was a vote against oppressive government. Larry Elder actually did not need specific advertised plans. Why? Because his base assumed he was the man with the plan. Because they feared Gavin Newsom's oppressiveness. Their fear made them assume that their leader, the leader of their movement, knew the answer and had a plan. So Larry Elder did not need a plan because the people who support him as part of the movement would believe he has a plan anyway, and if he actually had a plan, his plan would be subject to math and being taken apart and being criticized. That's what I failed at. I did not create fear. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself, how much do you individually today wake up every single day and care about homelessness? Well, you might be annoyed when you go walk around LA or whatever, but how much are you waking up every day going, man, this homeless problem's a big deal? Does that actually motivate you to vote? Somebody saying they're going to solve homelessness? How much do you personally care about affordable housing? You're probably in a home right now. So, I mean, sure, you might want a better house or a bigger house, but how much every single day is affordable housing weighing on you? How much are fires actually weighing on you every day? Does the water faucet not work? If it didn't work anymore, yeah, then you'd be freaking out. But fires don't affect all of us all the time. They don't. Our water issues don't affect all of us all the time. Our homeless issues don't affect all of us all the time. Our school issues. Look, our schools suck, but that is not an issue that affects us every single day. Maybe affects our children, but again, it doesn't affect us directly. Certainly not as much as if you believe in COVID restrictions, somebody taking that away and now potentially risking your life. That is much more tangible. At least the perception of that is. See, ultimately, I ran a campaign on policy and fact, and therefore I lost. Now, I did do well at one thing, and that was how much I spent per votes. See, Larry Elder spent about $5 per vote that he received. Gavin Newsom spent around $4 per vote that he received. So you can see Gavin Newsom had an edge because he had really hardcore fear that ended up driving strong votes. But he still spent $4 per vote. Larry Elder spent around $5 per vote. I came right after Larry Elder. I spent just $1.17 per vote. That's not bad. That means of the people I reached, our reach worked really well. People supported our plan so much that we did not have to spend a lot of money per vote. But we did not have the amplification of fear, which is a little bit harder to spread because you've got to spend a lot of money to amplify that fear. Fear doesn't just show up on your doorstep. Well, unless you pay for it, by having people door knock, or call you, or text you, or run Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TV ads, radio ads, and plaster fear all around you to where all of a sudden you wake up and you go, oh crap, I do need to be fearful of that other side. I do need to go vote. You got to get woken up. How am I supposed to wake you up? With homelessness, schooling, fire, water issues. Are these things really killing you on a daily basis? No. So this is why policy, in fact, don't matter. What matters is emotion. Because you can't debate emotion. You cannot debate fear. And this is how somebody who has failed the state of California is able to be reelected. He didn't win because his policies are good. He won because he evoked fear. Fear of death and tragedy. This is why AOC wins as well. It's really incredible. And folks, now you know how to win an election, how to become president, governor, or get any sort of political position of power. If you can manifest these solutions, you can win. Now, regarding my campaign, thank you so much to the hundreds of thousands of you who voted for my campaign, to the thousands of you who donated to my campaign and supported my campaign. I stand open to ideas, emails, Instagram messages, Twitter messages, of suggestions of collaboration for potential future political work. But for now, I wanted to share with you the results. I lost, but I've learned a lot, and hopefully you have too. Thank you very much for watching and supporting this video. Folks, we'll see you again in the next one.